Hello and welcome back to the 80s Cinema Club. We are now on episode 7, where this week we've had the joy of watching. Alfie, what have we watched?
We're watching Raise the Titanic, which is a Cold War adventure yarn in which a group of Americans are interested in raising the ill-fated ocean liner the Titanic from its watery grave. One of them finds out the Russians also have a plan to do so, believing it to hold the only supply of a vital ingredient for the ultimate nuclear deterrent. I got it right that time. It's like the third time we've done that. But yeah, it's an interesting film. This is the most obscure one we've done so far.
Well, it is and it isn't, because I think it was mainlined to be a big success.
Yeah.
And it wasn't.
It definitely wasn't.
So how much was the budget, Alfie?
Ooh, budget of, I think it was 30 to 40 million?
40 million.
40 million.
And it only made 7 million at the box office. That is...
It's really bad.
When you put so much money, it's not when a film has a really say a budget of 2 million and it makes $1 million. It's like you have made a loss, but also you only had 2 million in your film.
Yeah.
It's like when you have a budget of it's like Friday the 13th will have made more money.
Literally.
That probably had a budget of 500,000 and it made 30 something million.
It's
so
mad.
Obviously this film didn't make money.
Yeah.
At all.
I think they actually said it'd be cheaper to just lower the Pacific and get the Titanic up themselves.
Probably one of the producers' notes.
Oh, definitely.
But I guess we'll try and
get
a good episode out for you
really
about
good episode.
what we're about to be talking. So Alfie, have you got any likes of this film? I do. Only a few.
I don't really. It was a very, very strange film. I think that I quite liked, this is a very tenuous thing, towards the end, the scene where they're actually raising the Titanic from the ocean. That was fairly impressive. I thought that was kind of cool. Granted, it's done on obviously because there's no special effects, it's a scale model in a massive tank. I think the tank cost $6 million for to make it. That's how big it had to be. It's like a 55-foot long replica. But it was pretty cool.
It is. The main likes I have about it was because of the amount of money they put into the film.
Oh, yeah.
The sets they had, being on the ships they shot on were real.
Yeah.
The all the sets they were in were really good. The Titanic, the model of it.
Yep.
You couldn't fault it.
No, it was pretty well
done. You couldn't make something better and make because now you could use your CGI and stuff to make it, but they actually raised that in a tank that was
Yeah.
It's like when you watch the model shoots, because that's what it is. It's a model shoot and. It is amazing. The music is... there's a lot of music.
There is.
Because they spend a lot of time under the water and nobody's talking half the time and they're just playing the music.
Boring.
That's the boring part of the film. They spent way too much time down there.
Yeah, that was like the good half of the film is spent underwater.
But, at least the music's good.
That's true. Although it did get a bit boring after a while because they kept replaying this certain segment of one song every time there was building tension, but nothing would happen.
Yeah, nothing would happen at the end. Like I said, the Raising the Titanic is really good. The underwater scenes, though, as boring as they are amazing.
They're pretty well done.
Because it was shot in 1978.
Yeah.
This film. So I don't know. For reference, it's the same time Halloween came out. The first Halloween film. And... you really can't say to them that they didn't do a good job.
No, for the time, it's
all
really
the
well
shots inside of the submersible vehicles all look amazing.
Yeah.
They look quite accurate, although some of them seem a bit unprofessional inside of
a little bit.
They seem to be a bit more organized considering they're all military personnel, Navy personnel.
Yeah, like when one starts leaking, he just holds something up to try. He doesn't try and patch the hole. He just stops it from hitting himself in the face.
You'd think they'd have something to patch the hole down there, but no, he's
really
just holding his finger up to it,
kind of it.
Try
to press it on.
This will be fine.
Just massive.
Because you can't see, as me and Alfie both held up our arms there.
Yes,
to hold up an imaginary leak. Oh my God. No, but then the shots they used looking out on the water, I haven't looked up how they were made, but I'm assuming they were also made in water tanks with different arms, because it's when they position the bombs, the charges, it's all done with the arm to push them down, and it looks really convincing.
Yeah, it is pretty well.
More away from, I guess, the special effects that aren't special effects.
Yeah.
The location shooting for the first island thing, I'm 98% sure that it was real location shooting and they didn't use any special effects.
I thought so.
The way they zoomed out on it looked amazing.
Yeah.
I thought it was really good. And then other locations as well, because a lot of it's shot actually on the sea.
Yeah.
With US like naval fleets, or it might have been a different country, but I'm assuming it was US naval fleets.
Mm-hmm.
But towards the actual film itself, I thought the idea of the story
Yeah.
was really good.
The idea was quite cool.
And it's because it's taken from a best-selling book, which
Yeah.
I think, because it's, I can't remember who wrote it.
I do have his name.
It's basically the character of Pitt.
I keep wanting to say Dick Pitt, but that's not his name.
It's not Dick Pitt.
Dirk Pitt.
Dirk Pitt.
Clive Cussler.
Yeah, he's a character by Clive Cussler. And he wrote the
series.
book Raise the Titanic.
Yeah.
And it was his first bestseller book, which is why they obviously went, no, we want to buy the rights to the character for this film and then use it. And the film didn't do very well.
Hated the
but
film.
The idea of the story is really good.
The idea,
they really just didn't execute it too well.
Yeah, definitely not.
Because I think, you know, the Titanic is one of the biggest, not really mysteries, because you kind of know what happened and you kind of don't.
Yeah.
You know it hit an iceberg and you know it sank, but for the time the film was made, they had no clue where it was.
Yeah, it was still a massive mystery, wasn't it?
It was still a massive mystery, and that means you hadn't really got any of, well, you had got the accounts of the people who survived and what happened, but everybody's accounts will be different because of, you know, the trauma
individual experience
of being on a sinking ship that had thousands of people on it.
I really love how the English guy they go to get his account, how over-exaggerated his accent is.
What, is Alec Guinness?
I think it might be the guy in Cornwall. I don't know if it was
that's Alec Guinness.
Is it? Yeah. His accent is so over-exaggerated. I can't tell. It might not be over-exaggerated, but next to the very American Dirk Pitt, it's like, oh my God.
It's so funny to me because this was he finished filming that a few months before he went to play Obi-Wan Kenobi in Star Wars.
It's mad, isn't it?
Well, no, I think it would have been the second, is his cameo appearances in The Empire Strikes Back, I think, that'll be filming. But he does not look the same.
No.
I know he has a beard in that, but what?
He looks like an entirely different person, doesn't it?
As well as the fact, Alec Guinness, the actual actor, was born 2 years after the Titanic sank.
It's quite cool,
and the character he's supposed to be playing was supposed to be probably between the ages of 18 and 25 when the Titanic sank.
Yeah.
So this guy who he's playing is about 80 years old.
Oh, it's mad, isn't it? Genuinely.
And he doesn't look it.
No. Oh, honestly. Another thing I really liked is during the scenes where it shows the Russians talking amongst themselves, how they're speaking English in Russia.
But it's...
I love it. It's great.
I can't remember. There's a term in filmmaking that is...
Yeah.
It's supposed to be... Technically, they're not. They will be speaking in Russian.
Oh, yeah.
But for the audience, they speak in English to make it easier to follow the film without having subtitles on it. There is a word for it, which I've forgotten, but that's why. But it is funny when you watch it and you
see all these Russian guys in the Kremlin all talking in English.
All talking in English. It's a funny thing to look at. I don't really have any other likes of the film. It's mainly the set design and
I think that's
the
valid.
idea of the story. I mean... There's one side of it, which is the message at the end of the film, where they don't
dig up
this special material that can be all
the
powerful.
Byzanium, they leave on the ground. Byzanium.
Oh, yeah, it's Byzanium. I was going to say Nizanium.
I thought it was Isanium at first until I had to research for the film.
The Byzanium. You could see it as a message of, like, nobility, I guess.
Yeah.
In, you know, we're not going to use this to make the biggest weapons ever known to man,
It's
or
best to
technically
leave it
for
where it
defense.
is. Yeah.
But I think we should then move on to the dislikes now, because this film was so Cold War inspired that they tried to add it to. It totally changes that ending that I've literally just said.
Yeah.
Because in my opinion, it is they don't dig it up because they want to be, ooh, big strong America, don't need that to defeat the Russians.
Yeah. To be honest, the entire thing with the Russians felt so
underused,
limp, because it comes at the end and like the Russian captain comes onto the Titanic, is like, if I don't give a signal within 8 minutes, this ship's going to sink again, and no conflict happens. It's just diffused by 2 American jets.
Americans like, oh, by the way, there's that submarine down there, and we got some jets.
Yeah.
So you know, air support, bitch.
They don't even try and do a little bit of conflict or slightly get in the Americans' way when they race the Titanic. They just watch from a distance the entire film, spend about 2 minutes of dialogue with the Americans, and that's it.
I know it's been building them up as, oh, What are the Russians gonna do?
big villains.
It's like, oh, they're all going, oh, the Russians are up there, down our necks. You know, they're gonna do something. The Russians like, right,
They've got a
we
man
need
on
to
the
figure out,
inside.
you know, expose the papers, go to the papers, tell them everything. By the way, in 8 minutes the ship's gonna go back down. We've got 1 military vessel. You're about 4, and you know we're probably more in your waters than we are ours, considering it was traveling from England to New York.
Russians have got no
Not in
jurisdiction
literal
here.
Russia, which is the other side of Europe.
It is hilarious.
So you know we haven't got our full fleet over here.
It was really bad.
They could have done well with it.
Oh yeah, it could have been
Because
really well
to me,
used.
an adventure film is like you have the clear protagonist, which this film did.
Yeah.
As not very well fleshed out as they were.
Yeah.
And then you have like a group of antagonists or an antagonist.
Yeah, who's
which,
constantly
like,
there.
I don't know if you watch Indiana Jones.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
the Nazis.
Nazis in Indiana
it's like
Jones.
they have that is the overarching thing of the Nazis, and then you
Yeah.
have I've forgotten their names, but you have the main villains that he's going up against.
Oh, true. Yeah.
In this, it should have been the Russians are the overarching enemy.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the general that they're like who is part of their project
Yeah.
is the main villain.
Exactly.
But nothing happens.
Not really. It just kind of left. Also, the very choppy audio quality as well. Some bits were, even amongst like dialogue between several different characters, they would dub over one character's voice lines because they were so badly picked up.
And
then return to original audio quality.
Yeah.
It really
I thought
messed me.
originally this was because of the version we were watching,
Yeah, I
which
thought so.
it was on YouTube and it was the highest like definition we could find
Yes,
it in.
at 240p. That's a high. It's either that or 144, and that is it. There is no other stream.
You could still see quite well, really.
Oh,
what
yeah,
was
you
going
can
on.
make out enough to
And
understand
I had
it.
to go back on those audio quality bits, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Because I originally thought, oh, it's the quality of the thing. But when you listen to
Understandably.
it, you could see the mouths moving.
Yeah,
of some
and
of
it's
the
just not
people,
in
it just
sync.
wasn't them.
Also, there was a point here where there's, I think it's during the press conference, and there's an Asian journalist who stands up, and I don't know whether it's a dubbing over or just the guy is from America, but he comes out with the most American presenter voice in the world, and it just does not match how he looks, and it made no sense to me.
Yeah.
I was like, it kind of feels like they didn't like how he sounded, and they dubbed over him with a more American guy.
I mean, it
which
could
is
have
a bit
been
weird.
Yeah, I mean,
I could be entirely wrong, and the guy may have a very American accent. I do apologise if that's
Yeah,
the
he
case.
could have just
But if you watch it and
born
say
in
it is
America.
kind of a bit weird, especially given the difference in audio quality again.
yeah.
Oh, but however, my favourite line in the film is in the initial proposing of it. Are you talking about raising the Titanic? Dirk Pitt stands there for a good 5 seconds, smiles and goes, "Yeah." It's
like
the
John
best.
Wick.
Yeah.
When he just stands somewhere and
He
goes.
just stands there for
he's
like 5
It's like,
seconds.
John, are you ready? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
It was just the best. Oh, the awkward pause between "Are you talking about?" and then raising the Titanic. Oh, honestly, it was such a cringy line. But I love it.
He should have just said, "Went, nah, shit, Sherlock."
Yeah, no,
Just
we'll leave it there, you know.
I'm definitely raising the Titanic. What do you think I'm talking about?
Would have been better if the film ended there, to be honest.
You raising the Titanic? Yeah. Roll credits.
Yeah, roll credits. Gotta watch the sequel for that.
Actually, speaking about rolling credits,
Yeah.
there's so many things I would have. So because of how underused the Russians were,
Yep.
I think you shouldn't have used them at all.
Probably not.
The adventure film for me, it would have been them trying to raise the Titanic, and then them finding the Titanic. You know, raising it up, saving the people who were trapped in the underground sub, and then taking it back to New York, and the film ends.
True, honestly.
Like
that
they've
probably
done,
would have been a
they've
bit
done
better.
their job. Like
Yeah.
they're like, you know, we don't have to find out that the
Byzanium is
the Byzanium wasn't on the ship and it was a totally different thing. It doesn't need to do that
Yeah,
if you
it's
because
fine as it
that's
is.
where I think the message of the Cold War comes in more.
That's true, yeah. Right.
You
at the
don't
end.
need for it to be a good film. I mean, I don't think it still would have made the money.
No. I'm really scared. I don't know
That's
if it ever would
a
have.
lot of film stuff is done by advertising first,
Oh,
and then it would have been people word of mouth going, "Oh no, it's not very good." Might have got a bit more money though.
True.
It is just the fact I think they could have raised it, took it back to New York, and been like, you know, we've done our country proud.
Yeah.
Even though the ship isn't American.
Very bad one.
You know, built in Ireland, set sail from England. It did have some American backers. I think the main guy who
would
designed it and it's his ship was American.
Yeah.
But the ship isn't American. Although what does the Russian say? He says something about like sea finding laws that, you know, when they leave it they can take it. So I think it's supposed to be
it's
like
something around-
finders
'cause it-
keepers basically.
Yeah, essentially.
But I don't know. There was some things I didn't like. One thing that really put the film down was the character development.
Yeah.
What character development? You had
pretty much
the
that.
main characters were just introduced,
Yeah.
never fleshed out. The most backstory you got was Pitt's partner, the doctor, the scientist dude.
Yes.
His girlfriend, I'm guessing,
Dr.
had a
Jane
relationship.
Seagram,
There you go.
Maybe.
The Pitt had a relationship with her.
Yes.
Which kind of caused some tension. But spans on to my other dislike
Yeah.
of what happened to the romance.
That's a very good point. They hinted at it, that the two might rekindle it, and then it just didn't happen.
And then it felt like they were trying to do a story with her and her original partner, the scientist.
Yep.
But just left it.
And that didn't happen either.
So you had them fishing at the beginning.
Yep.
And then I was thinking, oh, some character development here. Are they going to talk about something? They talk about themselves? No, he goes straight back to Washington.
No, helicopter immediately appears.
And then I'm like,
takes him away.
oh, okay. You're just cutting off your own development there.
Yeah, it's a bit of a
But
weird
no,
choice.
it's fine. So he go, and then we see her in Washington when all the papers have released, and she's written the report on it. He's like, oh, you know, who's your source? You won't tell him. And then he's like, oh, no, and he just leaves.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. And we never see her again.
Yeah, those two are never involved again.
I don't get it. It would have been nice if they just, like, she was in New York for some reason.
Yeah.
And they met up and had a hug.
Yeah.
They would have
you put more use on it, you know.
Would
I
have
think
made
it would
something,
have been
because
better.
it felt like they were trying to do a storyline, then realised, oh, this isn't very interesting. And then
Yeah,
stopped
but then decided spending half of the film raising the Titanic was interesting. Very, very strange idea, that.
Small things, like, you literally can't go dig up a grave like that.
Yeah, that was quite funny.
So-
they just flashed the fact they're from the
so
government.
I talked about this I talked like to my mum when I talked to the film about her.
Yeah.
And it's literally because they don't want anyone to know they're there,
That's true.
because it's his decision whether to dig it up or not. If the US government or military knew they were there, they'd dig it up.
Yeah.
Like they want it regardless,
they want it.
So that means they haven't talked to the British government about. They haven't talked to any British services at all about digging it up, which is like because all the British people know is that there's a body under there, and to exhume a body, you have to go through court orders. Like,
but they're American. It's all right.
When the stuff with police cases and things like things that way, they have to go through court and get it done. But that would mean talking to the American government, which means they would find out, which means they didn't, which means them two guys who work in the graveyard just like, oh, do you want us to dig it up?
I mean, fair enough, you know.
They've just flashed their
the
badges
funny
or
idea
something.
is that then those two guys gone and talk to the guys down the pub and say, oh yeah, these two American guys came once to dig up this body, and then they're like, oh, I wonder what they wanted from that body, you know. And then it spirals into this massive thing of 4 random blokes from Southby finding this hyper powerful mineral, which
a movie I'd watch.
Yeah, honestly, I would watch that more.
Like, there's
4
no
guys
way...
from rural England running away from the government to hide this mineral.
Yeah,
that would be more funny.
Oh my, Alfie, we've made a more interesting film.
We've actually
than what
made
we've
a
just
sequel
watched.
to an 80s film that people would watch more than the original. Oh my god, it was.
The main thing that puts me off the film is I'm sat there thinking, "Ooh, these water scenes are cool." 40 minutes later, I'm like, "These water scenes aren't as cool anymore." You could have wrapped it up in, like, I guess when the submersible machine gets stuck, and it gets raised, that's fine because they're putting the charges in, you're actually raising the Titanic. But like the 20 minutes they spent looking for it, you could have looked for it for 5 minutes. You could have looked for it. You could have just seen it in 10 minutes. Yeah, you could have had him shown them, or you could have went there and went, they've been searching for 2 weeks and we haven't found anything.
That would have been so much quicker.
And then showed them finding it.
Yeah.
You didn't need to show them searching in the wrong place.
It was so long.
You could have went to the ship and went, they've been searching for 2 weeks, you haven't found anything. The scientist dude then does his whole thing about we didn't account for that the steam pole and the smokestack had snapped off before it fell, so it's landed in a different place. That's how it could have. Then it'd been so much quicker, and the movie would have been 20 minutes shorter.
Yeah,
and I would have been much happier.
There's a sneaky bit of foreshadowing earlier as well, because in the meeting, when they're discussing whether it might actually be there or not, one guy says, "Oh, it could be 10 miles off for all we know," and it's 10.1 miles away from where it's supposed to be. I reckon that guy already knew, you know.
There's not really much else I want to say about it. I thought the film had potential, and I liked sections of it.
I'd agree.
But as a whole thing, it was just kind of fell flat.
It dragged quite a lot.
So it's not necessarily the worst film.
No,
I I'm not saying you shouldn't watch it for if you want a Titanic film.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's not a bad film. It can get pretty tedious after a while,
Yeah.
but if you're just wanting something daft to watch and it's not really,
Yeah.
you don't have to think about it. You just have to watch and go, oh yeah,
That's what I
It's
liked
quite
about
impressive
it.
for
But
the
that's
time,
also
isn't
what I
it?
disliked about it.
yeah.
So, Alfie,
Oh,
what is your rating
my rating.
for Raise the Titanic, released in 1980?
1980. I think I've been pretty generous with it for what it was. It, like I say, generally overall it was quite impressive, but the whole film kind of lacked substance.
Mhm.
So I've given it a 4.5.
4.5.
I think that's quite alright. to be honest.
So we've pretty much around the same area here. It's just great idea for the film.
Yep.
Could have been done really well, and it just dragged. Which I've given it a 5.
Oh, so
Which
4.8.
means 4.8 for Raise the Titanic.
Really need to make a list
Which-
of these ratings somewhere.
I don't think is the lowest one we've rated, actually. I think
No.
another film is lower.
My Beautiful Laundrette might be
Probably lower.
probably about the same for both of them, which is
I
about
think
fair.
that's not too bad for a film that we said we didn't like,
Yeah.
but kind of liked, and we don't really know where to put it.
Yeah, it's kind of an awkward point.
Moving on to the questions. Alfie, you can go first.
Very
What
kind.
is your first question for me?
So my first question is, obviously the film, as we talked about, is based off a Clive Cussler novel.
Oh, great.
So which of these three, they're all, well, not all, which of these titles is not a part of the Dirk Pitt franchise?
Oh,
I'm right. I need to just clarify this. I'm fairly sure it is one continuous series. It might not be, but the one of these is not a Clive Cussler novel. All right, you ready?
Okay, great.
So is it Atlantis Found, Indian Gold, or The White Death?
Which one isn't?
Which one isn't?
I looked this up briefly, but I didn't look at any of the titles.
He's got so many books.
So say them
genuinely.
again.
Atlantis Found,
Uh-huh.
Indian Gold, or White Death.
Atlantis Found.
Is that your answer?
Yeah.
No, Indian Gold. It's actually ink and gold.
Oh.
I did a little switch. I'm quite proud of myself.
Ah,
no way.
that's-
Apologies. Quick break. It's Be Real time. Mid-trivia Be Real.
Sorry, many adult listeners listening.
Sorry,
Alfie
fellas.
is currently taking a photo of me.
Look
which
at Be.
is
Oh, that
a
is such a
tanned photo.
horrible picture of me. Oh well.
Quickly moving on, Alfie.
Sorry.
Thanks for that small interruption. My first question for you: how much money was spent before shooting even started?
Oh,
$1 million.
right.
B, $15 million.
Shit.
Or C, $25 million.
So I'm presuming that they needed to have the tank and the model originally made before the film. And given that an additional tank when I looked at to be made, and that was about 6 million. Shit. I'm gonna say about 15 million.
You're going with B, $15 million.
million.
Correct.
Oh,
They spent $15 million out of their $40 million budget
before it even started.
before a frame of footage
Oh my
was shot for
god!
the film.
No wonder they didn't make any money off it. That's
Yep.
horrible.
Some
Right.
films are better and have a smaller budget than that.
Yeah, that is mad. Right, Jesus. Okay.
Right, Alfie, what's your second question?
So my
for me?
second question is: so you know, in the end scene where they visit the graveyard and go to dig up the body,
Yes.
where was it actually filmed? Newham, St Ives, or Padstow?
Oh.
Because the funny thing is, it's filmed in Southby, but from what I could find, the only Southby near Southampton is nowhere near the sea. Despite you can see the sea in the background of the shot,
Okay.
which is really weird.
Say them again.
Oh, sorry, I lost question there. Newham, St Ives, or Padstow?
I don't think it's Padstow. Not that I know what their coastlines look like.
True. They are all
I
coastal.
I just don't think it's that.
Okay.
I'll go St Ives.
It is St
Yes.
Ives.
Is Newham closer to us?
No.
Is
Well,
it?
I just looked along the south coast
I
and
can't
picked
remember.
another.
Oh, okay.
I had Padstow and St Ives already, but then Newham was just like, what
Yeah.
else on the south
It
coast?
seems like, okay, well, that's a
Went
point
for
to
it.
me then. I'll
Yeah,
take it.
point to Harry.
Okay, so your next question.
Yep.
Name one nomination Raise the
Oh
Titanic
my God.
received at the first ever Golden Raspberry Awards. And I'm not telling you what they are if you don't already know.
Raspberry Awards are.
Oh, did you not get it then? You have three. I'm not gonna give you any guesses, but you have three options that you can. Like,
Okay.
No, like
There's three things.
there's
it was
three
on there
things
for.
it could be.
Right. I'm gonna go with. I feel like it's probably like one of those jokey ones where it's actually nominating like the worst things that they did in the film. Worst supporting actor.
I fucking hate you, Alfie.
Seriously? Oh, get in. Is that it?
Oh my god, how? I thought you wouldn't know. The first ever Golden Raspberry Awards was hosted in 1981,
Right.
And it didn't win any, but it was nominated for Worst Picture, Worst Supporting Actor, and Worst Screenplay.
Get in.
How?
To be fair, I have no idea. It just seemed like because of how big of a flop this film was, it wasn't going to get nominated for, like, I don't know, Best Picture, Best Cinematography.
I thought you would have put, like, Best Costume Design or something, or, like,
true,
Best, like, Design.
Best Costume Design.
Not Costume Design, like, Set Design, or, like,
you know. Yeah.
Oh, what's your last question?
This
I'm
is
never going to win these.
This is one where it will just be a blind guess from you.
Oh, great.
So, Byzanium in the film is said to be more powerful than uranium. Which of these actual real-life elements is the most radioactive? Thorium, polonium, or plutonium?
Plutonium.
Nope, polonium.
I don't know. Plutonium's the only one I know because that can be used in nuclear weapons.
I had to do so much looking at this because there was so much deliberation over whether one, I think it was radium or polonium, was worse. It took me a good 30 minutes going through scientific papers, looking at it and going, all right, yeah, I'm going to guess that it's...
These questions took me 20 minutes to put together.
I've gone through full scientific papers to check this.
Alfie's gone to university.com and just started searching things. Okay, then.
Right.
That's one question I've got right today.
Come on, last one.
Oh, you got both of them as well?
Both
okay. Question 3. What is the name of the sub that gets stuck and has to be raised with the Titanic?
Oh, shit.
That's it. You can go. Name it.
I have a rough idea.
I made sure it was like very prominently said a lot.
Is it the Deep Quest?
How?
Oh, thank God for that. Well, that's another trivia round that I've gotten, everyone. Thank you very much.
People not watching the podcast, obviously, because we don't film it.
Harry did just get up and walk
I have
away.
just gotten out of my seat, which is why my audio will sound crap. Now it's better now.
Fantastic.
How? There was the turtle. There was
yeah. There's the turtle. There was the starfish. There was the Deep Quest. There was another one. I think Seafarer, maybe. But yeah. Anyway,
seems like asking you what boat did they raise would have been a harder question.
Probably. Well,
all right then, Alfie. How relevant do you think the film was?
Not at all. I genuinely cannot see how we could argue that this is relevant to cinema.
Yeah, I mean, unless you really, really like the Titanic, like it seems like the people on YouTube did in the comment section.
If you ever watch it on YouTube, it's the 1 hour 49 minutes version. Just check out the comments because there's a lot of people reminiscing over how sad the scene of the Titanic was, which is quite funny. But yeah, no, I can't see anyone else can be.
This is one of the only films that we've watched, which I'm like,
yeah,
there's no reason for you to watch it.
No,
except if you just want to, like, if you like Alec Guinness cameos.
Yeah, true.
That's it.
Sounds so done.
Yep. Well,
I mean, I
am after that.
Yeah, this was a very.
This was episode 7 on Raise the Titanic from 1980. We haven't had a fun time.
It was a bit of a.
It's just
head mess.
I don't know. It's like, I think we've done worse films. It's just something about this one. It was just boring.
It was a struggle.
At least some of the other films we've done, they've had things going on.
True.
It was the same thing for like an hour and a half.
I think for the last 40 minutes, I actually put it on 1.5 times speed to try and get it out faster. Captions on and all, reading it.
Yep. As always, thank you for, if you have listened to this, which
obviously you haven't, you can hear this.
I'm very, very happy that you've listened to this episode, considering what it is. Yeah, thanks for listening as usual.
Watch this be like our best episode so far.
Yeah, our best episode.
Please
go follow us on social media. You can get updates on when we upload the episodes, which you should already know is a Sunday.
At 6 or 1 a.m.
It's not at 6 or.
It's not.
No.
I swear I said that when we we're going to start.
It's at 6 a.m. But
that pisses me off.
Might as well be. You can listen to it at 6 or 1 a.m.
I would recommend it.
Follow us. We have an Instagram, a Facebook, a Twitter, TikTok. Don't think we've got anything else.
There's YouTube, but
Oh,
there's not many
yes,
episodes up on
yes.
that yet.
We now have a YouTube. Everything of these is at 80 Cinema Club, by
Yes,
the way. We
same
now have a
across
YouTube.
everything.
Alfie's trying to get the episodes up on there. They're not
takes
a video
a
episode or
very long
anything.
time.
We're just trying to branch out with
Yeah,
everything.
trying to get out.
There
as much
isn't
as we
all
can.
of them because it's taking a while.
True.
But that's fine.
We are also available on a couple other
We're available
platforms.
on
Obviously, we're on Spotify,
Google
Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts,
Google Podcasts.
Apple. And
You
I
can listen
don't
on
know if you
Anchor, I
can
think.
find us. There's a new app that we found through Twitter called Good Pods that I think has uploaded our 4 episodes on there. If you want to go have a look and let us know if you can actually see the episodes, I'd appreciate it because I set it up and can't see it myself.
I actually didn't know.
Really?
Said
Oh,
that.
there is. It's a thing that the kind people there follow us on Twitter, so I thought I'd give it a look, and it seems pretty good. So if you could go and check it out,
Yeah, I
make
mean,
sure
if that's what you want to
let
listen
us
to
know
more.
that you can see it or that it's not there, and I can try and fix
But as
it.
usual, thanks for listening. Go follow us on the social medias at
Yes.
Cinema Club. It's bye from me, and it's bye from Alfie.
Not yet though. I haven't said bye yet. You can't end the episode.
Oh, sorry. Say bye.
Bye.